Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is take two. I was about halfway through this, and then my diabetic alarm went off. Which, that can get a little loud. You get two alarms. Like two different sounding ones. Of course, the one that I normally hear. It was a little high. And the alarm went off about halfway through this, and so I tried to get that to stop, but then as I did that, it stopped the recording. So we're doing take two here. This is my preseason power rankings, where I thought before just a couple weeks before the season begins, I thought I would do a preseason power ranking to kind of show where I think a lot of these teams are currently sitting before the season starts. And also, I would love to have your guys' input on power rankings during the season. Should I do the full 32 team league, or should I just do like a top 5 or a top 10 each week instead of the full 32? I'd love to know what you guys think about that. I'm good with either. I'm good with any of them. And yeah, so let me know in the comments section if you'd like to see me do the full league power ranking, or say a top 5 or a top 10. So with that said, let's get into this. At number 32, ranking number 32 before the season starts, I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure for these guys. They got some talent. Not a lot of pressure, though. Hopefully the next couple years we'll see what they can do. And I will say they have a pretty sweet new logo, but they are number 32, and that of course is Anaheim. Look at that new logo. Look at that new Ducks logo. I love that thing. That thing is fabulous. So I have them at number 32 to start off the preseason power rankings. Like I said, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on them right now to be a playoff team. I don't think they're anywhere near being a playoff team. And yeah, starting off preseason number 32, they can only go up from there, right? We'll see if that happens. Number 31. Another team, I don't think there's a lot of pressure. They were able to draft the guy that they wanted, and they have some really sweet looking jerseys. And I would not mind if the play would kind of equal the way they look on the ice. Like I said, their jerseys are sweet, all three of them, absolutely fantastic. And that, of course, is San Jose. Now they drafted Celebrini. And they've got Macklin Celebrini. Again, not a lot of pressure on them. I don't see them, knocking on the door of a playoff spot. I think they'll be down toward the bottom of their division. And yeah, it would not surprise me if LA and Anaheim are basically fighting to stay out of the absolute cellar. Number 30. Now, this is another team, not a lot of pressure. Their superstar is going to enter his sophomore season. He had a pretty good rookie season, and I think his sophomore season is probably going to be pretty good. He did win the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, which was not really a surprise, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, again, the Blackhawks, I don't think there's any pressure on them. There's no pressure on them to really do much. I think they could be sitting in the cellar of the Central Division. We'll have to see, but yeah, not a lot expected there. Bedard, of course, coming into his sophomore season, I think he'll do pretty well, and yeah, I don't see the Blackhawks making a whole lot of noise this upcoming season, but crazy things happen. Number 29. Now this team, now there was a lot of potential with this team a couple years ago, and they have just completely just dropped off. And it would not surprise me if they finished toward the bottom of the league, and that is Calgary, Calgary Flames. They are a team that is just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. I really don't. I don't know what to make of them. I don't know what kind of team they're going to be. There's, you know, rebuild for sure. I don't think they're in a retool. I think they're in a rebuild, and we'll have to see what they can do. But it would not surprise me if the bottom part of the league features the Calgary Flames for a good chunk of the season. Number 28. Now, this is a team I'm going to be rooting for. I'm going to be rooting for them. I would love it if they could make a run toward the playoffs. It'd be awesome if they could make the playoffs. But I'm really going to be rooting for them. Oh, darn sneezing! Gotta love when those kind of come out of nowhere, huh? But like I said, number 28, I'm going to be rooting for these guys. An unspeakable tragedy happens, and I really want to see this team do well. And that, of course, is Columbus. The Blue Jackets, I mean, the tragedy of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, being killed by a drunk driver in an accident that did not need to happen. It just did not need to happen. That stuff still just drives me nuts in this day and age with taxi cabs, with, DDs, the designated drivers. If you're out with a group of friends, somebody stays sober so they can be the driver. In this day and age of Uber and Lyft, why in the hell are you getting behind the wheel if you've been drinking? It's stupid, because it can lead to stuff like that. And I really am going to be rooting for the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. I really hope they do well. And if they end up being a surprise team that makes the playoffs, God, will that be fabulous. That will be so cool. And, they're going to be wearing number 13 stickers on their helmets. I think they're also going to be wearing a patch on the jerseys. And like I said, they're a team I'm going to find myself rooting for big time. And, right now, preseason, they're not real high. They're not real high, but, I'd like them. I'd like to be pleasantly surprised. So I'm really going to be rooting for Columbus this year. Number 27, another, team that I don't think a lot of is expected of, but, watch out for these guys in the next couple years, and that's Montreal. So the Habs are a team that, they picked up Patrick Laine. They've got a pretty decent core, and they're a team where in the next couple years they could be a team that could make some noise. They could really make some noise. We'll see if they can do it. But preseason number 27, I think it's about right. I think that's seems like the right spot for them right now. Number 26. Now this is a team I would love to see these guys get in the playoffs. I really would. And again, you never know what happens. All you got to do is just make the playoffs. You never know what can happen. And and again, I think it'd be great. It would be great if they could do it. And that is Ottawa. Now, Brady Tkachuk is going to be very motivated. Very motivated. He just watched his brother this past season hoist the Stanley Cup over his head. You know darn well he wants that feeling too. He now sees his brother has his name engraved on the Stanley Cup. He wants his name there too. So I think he's going to be very highly motivated. And I would love to see him bring, I would love to see a cup brought back to Ottawa. I think that'd be awesome. And if Brady Tkachuk could be the guy to do it, I think that would be absolutely killer. Will that happen this year? Probably not. But I think Brady Tkachuk is going to be very, very, very motivated to try to get this Sens team to be a little better. Number 25. Now this team, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since they made the playoffs. I actually stopped and thought about it. The last time this team made the playoffs, I had not even started my current job yet. I was still a few months away from starting the job that I have been at since October of 2011, and that is Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres are a team that desperately needs to make a playoff run. They have to. This has been 13 years of just rebuild, well, we're going to rebuild. And then a few years later, well, we're going to rebuild again. You never got out of your other rebuild. We're going to rebuild again. How many times have you rebuilt? We're on rebuild like number 5 or 6. Well, you never got out of the previous rebuilds. What the hell are you doing? Buffalo's got to figure something out. They got to get in the playoffs. They've got to make the playoffs. I think it would be awesome if they could do it this year. We'll see if they can do it. But, will they do it? I don't know. Number 24, this team, they were close. They were close to the playoffs. They had a good run. They were in a playoff spot for a good chunk of the season, and then the last couple of weeks, they just completely fell off, and that is Philadelphia. So the Flyers, I have them at 24. Now, they got their young phenom Michkov. Michkov has come over. It didn't look like he was going to come over. He had 3 years left on this contract that he had in the KHL. The KHL basically terminated the contract, and Michkov then said, "Okay, cool. Then I'm going to sign in Philadelphia." And he is over here. He is he's apparently looked pretty good in the little rookie tournaments. And I think Philadelphia's got a good young stud on their hands. And, we'll see how him and John Tortorella get along. But I think Philadelphia is, with Michkov, I think they've got something I think they can build on. Number 23. Now, these guys are hoping they can get one more good crack at not just making the playoffs, but potentially a Stanley Cup. Their captain just signed a 2-year extension. They're hoping they can still make a run with this core, and that, of course, is the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Crosby signs the 2-year extension. Of course, he's done nothing but basically take discounts his entire every contract that he has had. He's been one of them that has said, I don't need to make $14-15 million. I'm good where I'm at. And pretty unselfish player when you think of that, because Sidney Crosby is the kind of player that would be worth like $14 million a year. But he, again, $8.7 million. He's there for the next couple years. I think it spends his entire career as a Pittsburgh Penguin. I don't think it would look weird seeing him in any other jersey. And yeah, we'll see if those Penguins can get back to the playoffs. Number 22. Now, this team, they desperately and badly need to make the playoffs this year. Because if they don't, it's entirely possible their GM could be in some very hot water, which is really odd considering their GM is Steve Yzerman, the Detroit Red Wings, at 22. If the Red Wings do not make the playoffs again this year, Steve Yzerman is definitely going to be on the hot seat. I think he's already a little bit on the hot seat. It's just, how weird would it be to come across the wire, Red Wings fire GM Steve Yzerman. The guy helped bring them three Stanley Cups in 1997, 1998, and 2002. He was not on the Red Wings in 08 when they won that one. He had already retired. But it just, Steve Yzerman out as a Red Wing GM would just seem really odd. But if they don't make the playoffs this year, I could very easily see that happen. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. Number 21. Now, what do you get from this team? I think they overachieved a couple years ago. They might have underachieved a little bit this last year. What kind of team are they going to be this year? Not exactly sure. We're talking Seattle. We're talking Kraken. What do the Kraken do? How good of a season will they have? How good of a team do they have? I think they're going to be a very interesting team to watch. We will have to see what Joey Decord can do in goal. What will Shane Wright become a permanent fixture on that team? What can we expect from Matty Beniers? It's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah, I've got Seattle at number 21. Number 20. Now, these guys, they just released their what their 50th anniversary is going to look like. It is going to look fabulous. And I have them at number 20. Are they going to be a playoff team? Not exactly sure. We're talking the Washington Capitals. Now, of course, this logo is the black background. It is the Screaming Eagle on the black background. I do have the Screaming Eagle in other colors, but the Reverse Retro 2.0 is going to be their 50th anniversary jersey. It looks fabulous. I know Ovi loves it. And is that a jersey that they might go back to full time? I wouldn't mind it if they did. I wouldn't mind seeing the red one come back. But again, we got to wait and see. Ovi, of course, is trying to chase down Wayne Gretzky and his goal record, which he's, 45, 46 goals away from it? Can he hit it? This season, can he hit it? It's not can he hit it, it's can he hit it this year? We'll have to see. Number 19. Now, this is a team, they made the playoffs. They've made the playoffs the last couple years, and they have gotten bounced in the first round. They just have a tendency to meet this one particular team, and they get bounced out every time. And that is the LA Kings. That lovely new logo and all. I have the Kings at 19. We're not sure what type of what they're going to be. They have Kopitar, they have Doughty, they've got Byfield. They're a team they've been a playoff team the last few years. It's just they keep running into the Edmonton Oilers, and that's a hard team to beat. But I have them at 19. We'll see what they can do from that point. And can they be a playoff team again? Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Number 18. Now, this team, I think they're going to be right there in the run for a wild card spot. I think they just they got two offer sheets that were successful, and that is the St. Louis Blues. So the Blues, I have them at 18. I think they are a team that could be very interesting to see on the ice. How will Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg play? Will Jordan Bennington, not completely go haywire? We're just not entirely sure. But yeah, I think St. Louis is going to be a team that could be competing for that for one of those wild card spots. Number 17. Now this team last year, they were having a pretty decent season, and then all of a sudden, the quality of the play and everything, they just went. They were going up. They were going up. They were looking good, and then all of a sudden, crashed and burned. There was so much drama around this team, and now there's not. And the reason why they're not is because they are not in Arizona anymore. The Utah potentially soon to be Yeti, hopefully soon be Yeti Hockey Club. Utah, it's interesting. Arizona, it seemed like there was never a day that went by where there wasn't some type of drama in Arizona. They moved to Utah. The move to Utah is approved. Morello goes and sells the team to Ryan and Ashley Smith. And the move to Utah is complete. They sell out season tickets right away. They're going to be playing in front of fans, loyal, that are going to be packing the arena. And they got off the plane and they were like, "What in the world?" They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe all the kids, with player signs and welcome to Utah and all that. So I mean, there's some buzz around Utah for the Utah, hopefully soon to be Yeti current hockey club. We'll see what they can do. Can they make the playoffs? I think it's entirely possible. And if they do make the playoffs, you never know. Number 16. Now these guys, I think they can have some expectations. Then there's not, and then we're not quite sure. And I think in the next couple of years, though, this team could potentially be dangerous, and I'm all for it if they can make a run. Minnesota Wild. They have Kirill the Thrill, who they're gonna have to sign. They're gonna have to re-sign him in the next couple of years. They just signed Brock Faber to a nice contract, which honestly I think in a couple of years that is going to be a bargain. A bargain, I think. Brock Faber is an absolutely fantastic player. The Wild are stocking up on young talent to kind of build around Kirill Kaprizov, and why not? Why not? Let's get these young guys in here, get them developed, and hopefully this is a team that in the next couple of years could surprise some people. Will that happen this year? Not sure if it'll happen this year, but I think they'll be another one of those teams that'll be right in the running, though. Number 15. This is a team that's always in the running. They're always in the running, and when they make the playoffs, they're always dangerous. The New York Islanders. So the Islanders, of course, under head coach Patrick Roy, they're a team that is they know how to make noise come playoff time. When nobody really expected it, they came within an eyelash of going to the Stanley Cup final in back-to-back seasons. Last couple of years, they've been knocked out in the first round, but they've been a playoff team. Can they make the playoffs again? We'll have to see. And yeah, with Patrick Roy behind the bench, who knows? I like the New York Islanders, though. I think they are going to be potentially a fun team to watch. Number 14. Now, this is a team they vastly underperformed, but was it really their fault? Because they had so many injuries. Their goaltending absolutely was horrendous. Now, they've got Jacob Markstrom. I believe they have Jake Allen. All their guys seem to be healthy with the exception of Jack Hughes right now, and that is the New Jersey Devils. So the Devils are a team that, even after last year, I think a lot of teams think they're going to contend for the Metropolitan Division title. It's entirely possible. I wouldn't mind seeing it. And yeah. So New Jersey, they're going to be an interesting team to watch, because I was really wrong on them last year when I did my division predictions. We'll see if I'm wrong again this year on them. Number 13. Now this team, I think, is a team that if they make the playoffs, oh boy, they could be. This is a team, if they make the playoffs, I don't know if anybody would want to play them, because the moves they made in the offseason, they're going to be something to watch. Nashville. The Nashville Predators. They go out. They sign Jonathan Marchessault out of Vegas. They signed Steven Stamkos out of Tampa. The two of them, I think, are going to be fabulous together in Nashville. Nashville is a team, like I said, if they make the playoffs, I don't know if anybody's going to want to play them. UC Saros is in goal. Again, with Forsberg, with with all these guys that they've got on that team, with Stamkos and Marchessault, it's only going to make them better. And like I said, if they make the playoffs, oh boy, heads up. Number 12. Now, they've had a lot of turnover recently, last couple years, but yet they're still, I think, a team that is going to have to be reckoned with. And we're talking the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Tampa, even though the last couple of years they haven't been great, they've made the playoffs, but they've lost after making the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row. I don't know. I don't know about what Tampa's going to do. Hedman is the new captain. They just formally announced that Victor Hedman is the captain after losing Stamkos to Nashville. And I don't know. Tampa, I think, could be, I think they'll potentially be a top 3 team, if not a wild card team. And you never know. You never know what you're going to get out of them. But yeah, preseason, I've got them number 12. Now this team, I've got it number 11 because, they're the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL. They really are. Toronto. And yes, I call them the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL because just like the Dallas Cowboys, it's always the same thing. They're the most talked about franchise in the Canadian sports media, just as the Dallas Cowboys are the most talked about franchise here in the American sports media. They pay the Cowboys, they pay a ton of talent to the same group of guys, great regular seasons, and absolutely die in the playoffs. It's the same thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to pay all this money to these 4 guys, and what kind of results are you getting? Just like the Dallas Cowboys, we're going to pay, $40, $50, $60 million to these few guys, but what are you getting out of it? Okay, yeah, you're winning 12 games every year. What are you doing in the playoffs? Oh, that's right, you're losing in the first round. Just like Toronto. Good regular season team, get your hopes up. What happens in the playoffs? Losing the first round. That's why I say they are the Dallas Cowboys of the National Hockey League, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 10. Now, I think this team could be better. They could be better than last year. I think they're a team that definitely can contend for the division. And they're a team that's going to be, I think they're definitely going to be better than last year. And is it a team that I think could win the Stanley Cup? I'm not exactly sure, but I think they could compete for the division. And we're talking Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights I have at number 10. Like I said, can they win the division? Yeah, they could win the division. Can they make the playoffs? Yeah, they can make the playoffs. Can they make a run all the way to the Stanley Cup final? Yeah, they could do that. Are they a team that could lose in the first round? Oh, yeah, they could do that too. So Vegas, we're just not quite sure. We're not quite sure what to get, what we're going to see out of them. But it's going to be interesting to see. That Pacific Division is going to be a very, very interesting division for sure. But yeah, I got Vegas at 10. Now, number 9. This is another good team. But if they don't find a way to sign their starting goaltender, they could be in trouble. But preseason, I've got them number 9, and we're talking Boston. We're talking the Boston Bruins at number 9. They are a good team. They're a team that could be a contender for the Stanley Cup, as long as they don't run into the Florida Panthers. But if they don't find a way to get Jeremy Swayman signed, it could be a long year. It could be a long year for the Boston Bruins. We shall see. During the preseason, though, I have them just out of that top row. Number 8. Now, this team had a great regular season last year. But, again, their issues are playoffs. Now, this is a team I really want to see them do well. If they make the playoffs, I want to see them do well. I really do. Because I think it would just be pure dumb fun if these guys could find a way in a conference final or a final. And we're talking the Winnipeg Jets. Like I said, to me, if the Jets can not only make the playoffs, but find a way to win in the playoffs, I think it would just be pure dumb fun. Just pure dumb fun to watch them potentially make that run. I think it'd be awesome. It would be fabulous. I would love it. You know, like I said, just dumb fun. And we'll see what the Jets can do. Can they do it? I don't know. Number 7. Now, this is a team that I think, a little more was expected of them last year. But again, they lost in the second round. They lose again in the playoffs. But they lost to the team that had the best record in the league, the team that won the President's Trophy. Are there going to be expectations on them to have as good of a season, if not a little better? Yeah, I think there will be. And we're talking Carolina. The Hurricanes are a team that, again, what are you getting out of them? What type of team are you going to get out of them? Can they make a run? They made the conference finals a couple years ago. They got swept. They made the second round, the divisional final this last year. They fell behind 3-0. It was just too overwhelming of a deficit. And they lost to the New York Rangers in 6. Can they do a little better? We'll have to wait and see. Number 6. Now, it's always a little scary when there's expectations on this team. But after last year, there's going to be some expectations, even though there's one particular injury, there's one particular guy that's injured that might be a little concerning. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Vancouver Canucks. Thatcher Demko is still injured. We don't know we're not sure when he's going to be able to come back. But fans in Vancouver might be a little concerned. Now, I mean, Artur Silovs did all right last year in the playoffs. But, again, Vancouver is a team, when you put some expectations on them, they seem to fall flat on their face. I hope that doesn't happen this year. I really don't. But we got to wait and see. Thatcher Demko, the health of Thatcher Demko, very important for Vancouver, though. Number 5. Now, this team, they are going to be a big-time contender for the Stanley Cup. Are they a team that could win it all next year? They could. Especially if they get back a guy that hasn't played in 2 years. Colorado. Can the Colorado Avalanche, if they get Gabriel Landeskog back, how much better of a team are they? They're a pretty good team even without him. How good of a team are they with him? Yeah, I could see them. It would not surprise me if they were to win the Stanley Cup next year. It would not surprise me. They've got that good of a team. And according to Joe Sakic, Valeri Nichushkin, when his suspension is up, will be coming back to the team. Valeri Nichushkin on Colorado is a damn good player. Colorado with Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Nichushkin when he's back, and potentially Landeskog. Yeah, Colorado is going to be a very, very dangerous team. And, that's why I've got them. That's why I've got them in the top 5. Number 4. Now, this team, I think, this is a team that can be deadly too. They can be very, very dangerous. They know a little something about deep playoff runs. They just can't quite make it to the final. They've made the Western Conference final the last couple years. They just can't seem to get over the hump. And I'm talking the Dallas Stars. So Dallas at number 4 of my preseason rankings. Can they get over that hump? Can they finally get over that hump and potentially make the Stanley Cup final? We'll have to see. Will they be a very dangerous team? Oh yeah. I have no doubt they're going to be a very dangerous team. And we'll have to see. But yeah, preseason rankings, number 4. I think it's kind of the right spot for them. Number 3. Again, this is a team that when they have great regular season teams, they do halfway decent in the playoffs. And again, it's another team they can't quite make it to the final. They won the President's Trophy last year. We're talking the New York Rangers. The Rangers at 3. What are the expectations for the Rangers going to be? Well, they want to win the Stanley Cup. They want to contend. Will they contend for the division crown? Yes, they will. Can they make the conference final again next year? I think it's entirely possible. But, making the Stanley Cup final? Yeah, I don't know. But I think the Rangers at number 3 is a good spot. Number 2. Now, this team, there's definitely going to be expectations. They had an incredible run last year. They came one win away from doing something that would have only been the 5th time ever would have been done, and would have been only the 2nd time to have ever done it, the Stanley Cup final. And that would have been come back to win the Stanley Cup. And we're talking the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers are, I mean, you want to talk about a team that's got expectations? They just signed Leon Draisaitl to a huge extension. $14.4 million per season cap hit for Leon Draisaitl. The Oilers want to keep him around for a long time. They're going to have to do something very similar next year with Connor McDavid. And McDavid is probably going to be making even more money than Draisaitl. But they want to keep those guys together. And I don't blame them. Can the Oilers be that team to maybe do what the number one team did? We'll have to see. But the number one team that I have going into who to me is number one going into the season, I mean, who else could it be than the as the great WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman would put it, the reigning, defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Who else could be number one? I mean, honestly, who else could be number one? The Florida Panthers, the last 3 years, I mean, what a run. What a run they've been on the last 3 seasons. 3 years ago, they win the President's Trophy. They get bounced in the second round. The very next year, they barely, and I mean barely, make the playoffs because somehow the Pittsburgh Penguins couldn't find a way to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. That's what put the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And what did Florida do? They upset a 65-win Boston Bruin team. They rode that momentum all the way to the Stanley Cup final, beating Boston, beating Toronto, Toronto, when Boston got eliminated, a whole bunch of Toronto fans all kept chanting, "We want Florida." They weren't really liking that chant after that series was done because Florida basically took their lunch money. And then Florida, they swept the Carolina Hurricanes in an improbable run to the final, where then they got, let's just say it, they got stomped by Vegas. But they were determined. Matthew Tkachuk said, because apparently we had heard it quoted in the locker room as the Knights are celebrating the Stanley Cup on the ice as they're passing the cup around. Matthew Tkachuk in the locker room said to his team, "We're getting back here next year. We don't like this taste in our mouth right now. We want to get back. We are going to come back. We are going to come back next year. We are going to be in this position again next year." And what happened the very next year? Well, they did pretty good. They made pretty short work of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then they beat up on the Boston Bruins again. Then they beat the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers to get back to the Stanley Cup final for a second year in a row. Then they gave everybody a little drama that I don't think they really wanted to. They jumped up 3-0 on the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers came all the way back to force that 7th game, where then Florida finally locked it down. They win the Stanley Cup, their first ever in franchise history. And the state of Florida has owned the Western Conference the last 5 years. The last 5 years, the Eastern Conference has been represented in the Stanley Cup final by a team from Florida. Can that happen for a 6th year in a row? Because now that they've won it, now that they actually won the Stanley Cup, they know how it feels. They want to do that again. Can the Florida Panthers make that run again? Well, that's why they play the game. We'll have to see. But, I mean, who else could be number one? My preseason power rankings, who else could be number one other than the reigning, defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers? So that is my preseason ranking, number 32 all the way to 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. And if you have made it all the way through this lengthy video, the take 2 as it would, I thank you so much if you made it all the way through. I hope you do. I hope you watch. Don't just fast forward all the way to the end. And see who because that's one thing that I enjoy doing if I'm watching a power ranking video. Like if I'm watching one of Shannon's power rankings, I don't fast forward through any of that because I love the explanations, and hopefully none of you guys will do that because I'd like to here's the reasoning I have this particular team where I would, and of course this is preseason. This definitely will change as the season goes along. And again, let me know, do you want the full 32 teams? Or do you just want, say, a top 5 or a top 10 every week? Let me know in the comments section. Where do you think I'm wrong here on the preseason power rankings? What team do you think I have too high? What team do you think I have too low? Or or do you think they're all pretty good? Pretty good. Let me know in the comments section. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let all your friends know about the channel. Share this video too. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. And yeah, preseason power rankings, a lot of fun. And I am looking into trying to maybe set up a shop site to connect with the channel, to have merchandise with this logo on it. Like I said, this is the magnet I made. This would be, if you guys wanted magnets, stickers, I can make them small. I can make them this size. I could make them large. As big enough as an 8.5 by 11 sheet would allow. And yeah, so that's something I'm looking into. And yeah, so hopefully maybe if I get a little shop site, hopefully you guys would snag some stuff with the channel logo on it. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Where am I wrong, or is it just right? So, and again, hopefully you made it all the way through. And yeah, so in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.